notification last time.
Okay.
All right. I think we're live now, right? All right. Welcome to Shit Persian Girls Say, episode 2. I'm Jazmen. This is my co-host Lana, and we're happy for anyone that joined us today. We got some great feedback from our last episode, which we really appreciate. Like always, you guys can let us know on any of our socials what you thought about the episode, anything you guys want us to change. We also have an email, a podcast email that the moderator can throw up on the screen. And you guys can email us topics you guys want us to discuss and all of that. We both plan on getting like equipment and being like more official, but we're still figuring all this out. But thinking about topics for today, there was like a clip from Mia Khalifa, who I'm sure most of you know who she is, but she is a very prominent adult. Are we allowed to say porn star in here? I feel like we should be. Yeah, she's a very prominent porn star. And I saw it on TikTok, but I guess it was circulating on TikTok and Twitter. And she was doing some interview. I don't know who was interviewing her, but somebody made the argument, what do you say to people who think that you are selling your body by doing this kind of work? And she said, well, if we're thinking about selling our bodies, I would say that people who like join the military are selling their bodies. You're literally selling your body to the government, and you can die, and that sparked a lot of controversy. There are people that really agreed with what she said. There are people that disagreed with what she said. And I thought that was a great way to kind of spark a discussion about what is selling your body? Why is sex work, is it labor? Should it be treated differently as other kinds of labor? And then this can get into the conversation about legalizing sex work and why the morality behind sex work. Is it immoral? Is it treated differently than other kinds of work because it's considered to be immoral? And if so, why? What makes it different? So that is what we want to talk about today. Lana, if you have anything you want to add to that intro, you can. Otherwise, I have some of my ideas, but we definitely want to hear from you guys too. This is something like I want it to be a discussion. Like, we're going to try to go into some of the arguments or maybe some of the reasons people do view it differently and then kind of discuss it. That's kind of how I want today's episode to go.
Yeah, can you tell me again exactly what Mia Khalifa said?
Yeah, I'm able to play it, but I don't know. We're not that advanced yet. But
We're not that advanced.
But basically, so somebody said, so you people, what do you say to people who say that having an OnlyFans, you are selling your body for money? And she said, well, if we're looking at the definition of what is selling your body, I would argue, and this is her saying that, she said, I would argue that joining the military, you are literally selling your body to the government. And then she got backlash. So she even tweeted, she's like, the difference is I don't have to be naked on OnlyFans. I can post whatever I want. You guys, or people that join the military, you could be sent off into a war tomorrow, she said, over fake oil, just because the president is having a bad day. Which, I mean, and then obviously that sparked a lot of controversy. So I want to kind of get into some of the reasons maybe sex work is considered to be different than other kinds of work. And then also making that parallel. Why does that rub people the wrong way? Why do people see being in the military, and I would also say being a police officer or any of these professions where you are literally putting your body on the line for whatever reason? And that may be part of why it's treated differently. What is the reason that you are selling your body? So I think first we need to talk about labor, like using your body for labor. Any job you do, I think you are using your body for labor. You are using your body to work. So if you are, a singer, you're using your voice. Even if you're working if you're going to Walmart today and you work at Walmart, you are using your body. You are getting up. Well, then just about everyone is selling something physical because, yeah, exactly. So then there's that. Like, everybody is using their body to work. It's just about what part of your body you're using, how you're using it, etc., that I think can create these perceptions about whether it's right, whether it's wrong, what kind of labor should be respected, what kind of labor shouldn't be respected. Is it because you're doing something for money that changes the narrative around it? And so see, I have like notes and everything. And I also think that stigma can also make things like, it can kind of like be circular, right? So like a lot of people think that women, you could be like, Lana, you're a single mom. A lot of people would think it would be, you would be respecting yourself more if you were to just go get a minimum wage job, you were to go work at Target at the cash register, making minimum wage. You're still using your body, you're still using your time, you're not getting compensated well, you're working for a major corporation. People think that you are still respecting yourself, though, more than what we are doing online. And I think that that narrative also kind of makes people, like, people say, oh, girls who do this are X, or girls who do this don't come from good families, girls that do this don't have a good father in their life. And I think that narrative also plays in people's heads. And then, yeah, families that are more privileged, they don't raise their kids a certain way that they're going to want to do this when they get older. And then it kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that the women that do tend to go towards this kind of work those things happen to be true statistically speaking. Now, that's not the case all the time. I mean, I'm an exception, you're an exception. I think the online sphere, we have to acknowledge, is different than in person. How different, we don't know. I think that there is obviously, I think sex work in general, there's like a big gap. I mean, we can go from the people that are, walking the streets of Skid Row, high rates of drug addiction and a bunch of other issues that play into the women. A lot of the women in that situation also have those issues on top of what they're doing. And then you can go all the way to what we're doing, or OnlyFans moguls that that are making a bunch of money and are living these luxurious lives, So there's definitely a spectrum when it comes to that, and I want to talk about that. But I don't know, Lana, what do you think about, why do you think, like, what do you think is the reason that sex work is treated differently than other kinds of work?
Well, first of all, I feel like the military comparison is it's not really comparable, because like when you're selling content online, explicit content like we're doing, you're not risking your life. You know what I mean? You're taking a picture and you're putting it online. You're not risking your whole life. And that is worth so much more than the little bit of like college money and the help that the military provides. Oh, they do, you get all these benefits, but is that really worth your life? I mean, that's like, I mean, I'm not that patriotic, and I'm not religious. And so like none of that is something to be proud of. Absolutely. And like, these are the heroes, but I know, I just personally don't want to be a hero. So, only to, I don't know, like my kid or something. I don't know. And I don't even want her to need a hero. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like, I feel like this stuff, like this subject and these questions, like it's more complicated for people who have like a religious background or a religious belief system, because I just look at this stuff as risk and reward, like
Yeah.
this is a business like any other.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, okay, if I sit in a desk and I do taxes all day or counting all day, my back is going to be messed up, and I'm going to have carpal tunnel on my wrists, and my eyes are going to be going bad from staring so closely at this screen all day. So I'm still like damaging my body. I think though, if you want to look at a deeper issue with it, it's more like what you said, like, is this true to yourself kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely the risk and the reward. Yeah, I would much rather make this much money and be, not hurting my body, than this much money. And I'm like sitting there like this, and I'm an old decrepit like hunchback lady later on.
There's definitely one of the arguments that people make a lot of time against sex work is it's detrimental to self, especially not, I think online less so, but if we're talking about escorts or prostitutes, people are like, nobody would choose that. If you had other options, nobody would choose it. And I think that that's something that definitely we should explore. I can't sit here and say there are no detrimental effects to prostitution for this. That's a discussion about human psychology, and is that good for us? It's kind of like eating healthy or whatever. Like, not everybody is healthy, but maybe eating healthy is better for you. Maybe not having multiple partners is better for you psychologically. I don't know. I don't have enough information. I didn't do the research on that, but I think just because something isn't good for you, does that make it immoral? Isn't that kind of us like a paternalistic kind of way for the government or society to behave? Like, this is bad for you, therefore we're going to ban it, because it can't be good for you. And who are you to say? It may be damaging to some people, and it may not be damaging to others. I would be curious to know about that. And then that also ties into it being different depending on what kind of sex work you do. I mean, I think we can all agree that a lot of, like what I talked about, the like the women on, walking the streets that are addicted to fentanyl, I think we can all agree that they're not living a great life. A lot of that probably fueled by the drug addiction and so forth, and the danger, because yes, what we're doing is not, I don't think what we're doing is, there's obviously risk inherent to it. We're putting ourselves on the internet. People are crazy, but we're not getting into like random cars, risking our lives the way that those women are doing.
Yeah, someone said, I saw a comment by somebody, they're like, oh, like OnlyFans or something is the new prostitution. Like, no, we will never be able to replace prostitutes. They serve a purpose to this society that we could never fill.
Exactly. And I think we all know that, like, there are issues with sex. Like, we know that a lot of people are in sex work because they are being trafficked or they're giving their money. And we can all agree, like, we're not here to talk about whether trafficking is immoral. We know trafficking is immoral. We're talking about women who choose this. Is that still immoral? And I think what you were talking about, the detriment to self, the danger, is definitely something that people use as I almost think like as a argument against sex work. Like, well, these women, they would never choose this if they had other options. Like, there's this sentiment that sex work is not compatible with human happiness. But like you said, is accounting, is being a janitor. And again, these are all wonderful, but like, no, people are like, nobody wakes up and grows up wanting to be a prostitute. Well, nobody really wants to grow up and be a janitor either. Nobody like gets up every morning like, oh, today I'm going to go sweep floors. Like, I'm so happy, but we don't treat those the same. We're not like, we don't think janitors are immoral. I don't think we respect the profession like the way we respect, like, doctors or college professors or whatever, but we don't consider it the same way that we treat sex work. We don't dehumanize in the same way somebody who's a janitor or has a very boring job. Like, how many people love their jobs? Not a lot of people. So I don't think sex work should be treated any differently, that we all have to go to work every day like, oh, we love this. And so stop stigmatizing us. We're so happy. We don't love every part of our job. I mean, me and Lana know that better than anyone. I mean, Lana has had a terrible week. I had a terrible weekend last weekend. Like,
yeah.
So I think that's definitely one argument, the detriment to self. But just because something is bad for you, does that make it immoral? That's one thing. And like you said, the Judeo-Christian ideas surrounding sex, we can't pretend that doesn't affect things. That affects so many things in our society. What do you think about it changing, though? Like, even views towards homosexuality, which is something else that has been stigmatized in the Judeo-Christian faith. and how people are moving away from it. Like even if you look at the United States of America, views towards homosexuality or things like gay marriage has changed drastically in the past decade even. Do you think that despite these sentiments in people and their beliefs that we can see a similar shift in sex work?
I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of looking at, I can't stop looking at Hazerston's comment because saying that, yeah, concerns about sexual trafficking is what made me leave sites like Pornhub or X videos. I feel a lot better about supporting independent creators on the subscription platform like WEB. That is kind of what this makes me think about, is exactly what he's saying, because like I was saying before to you, we were talking one day. I feel like OF is so much safer. I mean, you have to like the verification process that you have to go through, and it is so gross. Like if you're on one of these like sites, they let almost anything up. I mean, maybe they're not catching things right away, so things are leaking. And then like, you know, you could be on that site and then you see disturbing shit. Like, you know, there's another platform, you know, the one with the bird. I don't know. It's Twitter, but that one, like, there's so much. I don't use it much anymore, but when I was, there was so much. I can't say it on here, but there was so much of that stuff on there, the trafficking type of content. It's the best way I can say it. And yeah, like OF, it is girls who they're putting the work in themselves. No one's exploiting them unless they have a manager, then, but that's still a choice.
That's a discussion for another episode.
But if they're doing it themselves, like they're putting this work in, they're putting their time in, it's all by choice. They're verified to be 18 and over. It's much more safer. You're not gonna get on there and have to see something disturbing that you want to like go and like report to the authorities.
And if you do, OnlyFans will certainly take it down, and they're there because the reason stuff like Pornhub and stuff have gotten in trouble is because, I mean, I know they had that issue. I think MasterCard or some big bank pulled out because they were putting child
CP.
Like stuff that they really shouldn't be doing. So I know OnlyFans, like if somebody's fingernail is in your video, there's a whole process on like how they need that person to sign a consent form, send in their ID, everything to confirm that they're 18. So I agree with you. I think that the onset of things like OnlyFans are really safe. But even when we're talking about sex work in general and the morale, I don't think that just because bad things happen in any industry, we throw out the baby with the bathwater and we say, okay, this is terrible now. Porn is terrible. Prostitution is terrible. And you know, without realizing that there are plenty of women who make a living off this that aren't engaging in anything like that, aren't hurting anybody else, are just using their own body and their own autonomy to make this decision. And I think people are very quick with sex work in particular because of all the other societal, you know, stereotypes that we put on sex workers and porn and all this in general and how it's so harmful. And I'm not saying porn can have absolutely no harmful effects ever. We can actually do a whole episode on that. But do you think that the Judeo-Christian faith, or just public belief, which probably is rooted in the Judeo-Christian faith, do you think that the fact that people see sex as an emotional expression of love affects the way that people don't like porn and just like kind of obscene depictions of sex instead of as this like union and this celestial experience between man and woman? Like, you know, do you think
that's including the religious communities, or aside from it?
I think the religious communities definitely share that sentiment, but I think that sentiment bleeds out. And there are lots of people who aren't even religious.
And if you're not religious, if you believe in nothing, you can still be the type of person that thinks it's bad and it feels like you don't want your partner doing that or engaging in it because it makes you insecure or you feel jealous, you feel a certain way about it.
Absolutely. Great point. I think that
your partner's going to be doing it without you knowing, whether you know or not.
I think that porn and sex work threatens people's, like, human beings. We have this desire to be in monogamous relationships, and we want our partner to only, like, you know, not see other people in a sexual manner or not want other women in a sexual manner, and women like us are just throwing it out there, creating lust in the public, which threatens that monogamous structure that people really want to have be the, like, you know, the correct way things are in society. And I think that we can definitely tie that into Middle East. Even when it comes to morality, where is the line? In the Middle East, us, even you wearing that tank top already means you don't respect yourself. In the United States and Europe, that's not the case. So every culture, every person, you can argue, has their own line on, oh, that's too far, this is not too far. Or different cultures have their own idea. How do we protect the family unit? In the Middle East, women should cover their hair, nobody look attractive, nobody incite lust. In the United States, you don't have to cover your hair. You can go out in short shorts, but OF stars, you guys are damaging marriages. You guys are damaging the family unit. You guys are damaging children. And so that line definitely shifts depending on what culture you're in too, which means that there's no right answer.
Yeah, there's no right answer because a lot of it is belief based.
Exactly.
So there's just no way to win the argument. But I think, like, just as time goes on, like, religion and these societal norms that have come from religion are just being, like, the population is diminishing a little bit in the religious community. A lot of those people are changing into, you know, like, just into, like, I don't know, no religion, I guess. Like,
I would argue they're moving towards manifestation. Like they're moving into
going more to the spiritual realm,
yeah.
which those people are a little bit more laid back, but there's also fanatics when it comes to that too.
Yeah, no, I would prefer that because at least it doesn't have all the
definitely
homophobic, sexist underpinnings that religion has. And I think we can definitely make the parallel between conceptions on sex work and homosexuality. I mean, when gay marriage was first brought on, people are like, it's going to ruin the sanctity of marriage. It's going to ruin the family unit, the family structure. And I think that is 100% the same kind of argument people make about sex work. So there's the argument that it's just inherently immoral because of religion, because of the doctrine or that you believe. There is the argument that it's detrimental to self. Nobody would choose this. It's a last resort. And then there's the argument it's bad for society, right? And then people can make the parallel to drugs. Like, why are drugs illegal? Because they're bad for society. And when it comes to the military and stuff, like we were saying, people think, no, they're sacrificing their bodies for good. You guys are selling yourselves for nobody, for money. You're not putting your life on the line to protect
doing others. It the same reason. They're doing it to also bring money into their family and to further themselves. That's why they go. When they sign up for the military says, we're going to pay for your college. We're going to pay for housing. You're going to get this, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no difference except what we're doing. We're not risking our lives. You know,
I think some people joined. I think this was more so the case back when we had like legitimate wars to go fight, like World War II. But in this day and age, it's kind of even hard to make the argument that you are putting your life on the line to protect your country by invading the Middle East for no reason.
Yeah, we don't know why. They don't know why they're invading. They don't know why there's.
I mean, you can even make, okay, fine. Even if you want to say that police officers and military members, although we all know that there's issues with both, especially police officers right now, are you really joining the police force thinking that you're about to be somebody's hero? Athletes are literally sacrificing their bodies, their time. They're using their bodies for our entertainment. That's it. Mm-hmm. So how come that is not something that people don't see as respectful? Is the athletes. Nobody thinks athletes are like, you know, should be not respected. In fact, people idolize athletes. And what benefit can you really say they're giving to society? Like, they're giving entertainment. So are we. We're creating feelings of intimacy. We are giving content to people that they enjoy consuming. What's the difference?
Yeah, I think I mean, it's just like, it's part of like human anatomy that your body your body wants, wants sex, and certain things turn you on, and it's not always going to be the person that you're with. I mean, they should, but like, it's just that other things are going to turn you on too, especially.
Some people don't have a person that they with.
Yeah, the self-respect thing, like people have said to me, you're a mother. Like, imagine if your kid sees this on the internet. Well, first of all, my kid is really small, so
If you're still popping by the time your daughter is going to know about the internet and all this, then you'll be really successful, I would assume.
I'm gonna pay a lot of money to scrub the internet. It's fine.
But why?
Yeah, no, I don't want my daughter to do this shit.
Why?
And it's like, I just feel like I want her to be super spoiled. Like, I'm spoiling myself. I'm doing this so I can spoil myself and spoil her. You know what I mean? I want to be able to make
want her to have a job in general, or not this job. Do you think
just
she's
not
rooted in the same thing?
It's definitely I don't. My daughter, like, see, that's where it gets like tricky, right? It's like, but so I also don't disclose this to my family. So it's not like, I guess in some ways, like, the way I think is like, I'm going to do this and become really successful, but my daughter will never feel like she has to do this to make like good money, or to, because me getting into this too, it's like, I was struggling. I was struggling as a single mother during COVID. Was it a last resort? No, but it was something that was able to give me, I was able to make money that I need to, not rely on anybody, not freaking, babysitters or this or that. And then be with my daughter and make sure that, I can give her lots and lots of attention.
So if she said, if you guys are really privileged and she said, Mom, I want to be a neurosurgeon, you would be okay with that. But if she said, Mom, I know I have all this, I know I don't need to do it, but I want to do it. I want to build a business off of OF. Why? And I'm picking on this because I think so many of us, even though we say this stuff, we have this feeling in our head like, I don't want her to have to do this. Okay, great. I don't want my kid to have to do anything. I want to be able to support them no matter what. But why would I treat this differently than a vanilla job?
No, you're right. And like, when I think about it too, yes, if there's no like, if she's, I obviously, like, kind of this thought. So I don't want my kid to have financial issues.
Yeah.
1, 2, I don't want her to have mental health issues where she, because a lot of times that's not the majority of OnlyFans girls, but, oh, sorry. No, not allowed to say that word. But
we can say it, I think.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
But a lot of girls who are, promiscuous and like overtly, sexual, they do have issues, and they struggle with that. And that's a way that they kind of, express it. So like, if it was all just because it's like, hey Mom, like, I'd rather do this and do what I'm doing, I guess.
Yeah.
I'd rather do this, invest my money so I can freaking, have freedom and not work in a job day to day and still make good money. Like, she wants, like me, I want to travel. I want to do this. I want to do that. If her reasonings are the same as mine, I think I would be okay with it.
Okay. Honestly. See? Yeah. I think that's very true. A lot of people, and that was what I was saying in the beginning.
Especially get a degree first. Like we did. We got degrees. We have professions.
The stigma creates this. So like, yeah, a lot of girls don't want to go into a industry where they get the scarlet letter on their they have their digital footprint is tainted unless something's wrong. But I think the more we normalize this, the more, and I think OnlyFans has helped with this, because like, I would never have gone into sex work without OnlyFans being the means to do it, because it was comfortable for me. And I think if societal views change and it does become something people don't see as a last resort, like that's what people said to me too. your parents are rich and you're a lawyer. You don't need to do OnlyFans. And I'm like, but I don't want to be a lawyer. I mean, I do.
You're a perfect example. You have, and I know this from knowing you. I know you have an amazing relationship with your mother and your father and your sibling and yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you guys might think Jazmen's out on the town every night because she's gorgeous and she's like going to fancy dinners, but she's literally like researching shit on the internet every night.
You guys, I have not had sex since February. Like, I don't even.
I'm not even gonna say mine.
We're gonna do an episode on misconceptions about OF stars, and people are like, "You must have had a crazy night on the town. It's a Saturday." I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, that's not the case at all." But I like us digging deeper into, because I think I don't have a kid, and I want to put that out there first, because a lot of people might say, "Oh, this may change when you're a mother." Okay, that's fair.
If my daughter was like you, and she has this good self-respect for herself, and she's feeding her brain, she's going, she went to school, she got a profession, she has good relationship with family and herself, and like literally you would be the ideal situation of my daughter having being an OnlyFans star.
Yeah, I totally see that. I think of it as, what do we all want for our kids? Happiness. And OnlyFans and sex work does not seem like the gateway to happiness for a lot of people. And I'm not denying that for a lot of people that is the case. But if I have a child, it would be the same thing as you. I'm not going to be like, no, you should go be an accountant and sit in an office where you're miserable, because that's what society says is better for you. And that's what I, as your mom, say is better for you. I want her to be happy. So if she's at any job she dislikes, I want her to leave any job. And I think one way to we need to tell people they have options. There's a lot of people that are like, well, a lot of sex workers would be doing something different if they knew they could. Sure. I think that it should be, you tell people they can do whatever they want, but you don't make sex work like, oh, you can do whatever you want to be happy, except that. Because that's not really good for you, and it's damaging to society, and you're going to go to hell, and all these reasons that people have. Oh, did we lose Lana?
Oh, my battery is dying.
Oh, you're getting a charger?
Yeah, so this is why I need a Bluetooth camera.
So, yeah, and I definitely want to say that I'm not trying to glamorize sex work. I'm trying to normalize sex work. I think there's a difference, and I think it is true that we should be telling girls they have a lot of options, and I think that this isn't something you should be able to really choose unless you're old enough to know what you're choosing. So I'm not saying we should go into high schools like with 15-year-old girls and be like, start an OnlyFans, because I don't think they can understand what they're getting into. Mm-hmm. Which is why, I mean, a lot of 15-year-olds say they want to do X, and then they go to college and they change their majors and they do a lot of other things. As long as what we're doing will create issues down the line in some professional industries, we definitely do need to make sure that young people are aware of that. If like a 16-year-old came up to me and is like, I want to be an OnlyFans star, I would say, unless and when you're ready and you realize that you may be closing the door to other opportunities by doing this, then I would say go. But if you know that and you have done your research, you've done your work, you're like, no, I want to do this, I wouldn't think anything is worse about that than saying, I want to go be a neurosurgeon, I want to go be an author, I want to go be whatever. I wouldn't think of it any differently.
Yeah, I mean, like we already know, is it neurosurgeons who have really high suicide rates?
Lawyers do. I don't know about neurosurgeons.
Or is it?
We're the fucked up ones.
If you mess up on somebody and it's completely their fault. I don't know which jobs these are, but
well, yeah, and neurosurgery, from what I know, I have a lot of friends that are doctors, that is like the longest. So you go 4 years of medical school, you do like whatever many years of resident. I think you have 7 years of residence or like whatever to do after the 4 years before you actually can be a neurosurgeon. So that is 7 + 4, about 11 years. of schooling to become a neurosurgeon. And yeah, I think that deserves respect, that you work so hard to get something. But a lot of things that we respect about people aren't even things that, like, for instance, a lot of people message me after they've heard me talk a couple times. They're like, I respect you so much more now because you're smart. I'm like, why? Intelligence is highly genetic. So the same way my tits are genetic, my intelligence is genetic. But you respect me more because you think I'm smart now, and smart deserves respect. Beauty does not deserve respect, or being sex appeal doesn't deserve respect. Athletes, I know they work hard, but they have a supernatural ability to, you know, jump really high, shoot these balls. They didn't earn that. A lot of them were born with it. They do work on it. But we respect them. We respect them because they're bigger and faster.
Just like movie stars.
Yeah, but P-stars, oh no, they're just selling themselves. Like that is like the point I'm trying to get at today. Why are we selling ourselves, and other people, other forms of labor is not selling yourself? Okay, I'm gonna start looking at the comments because I feel like I'm just rambling. If the moderator wants to throw up anything. Dentists have a very high rate of suicide rate compared to other professions. Yeah,
I've heard that too.
I can see that. My only concern for my daughter is she chose life as they're dealing with fans. I'm sure most are great, but it's those that choose to integrate into mean that can. Yes, I agree with that. I completely agree with that.
So that's another thing about our profession that people don't
Who has
realize.
worked in the service industry? I haven't worked in the service industry, but the stories I hear are, one of my friends, she's younger. I mean, she's the girl, she does my lashes. She works at Walmart too. That's why I keep bringing up Walmart. And she said, like, cussed her out yesterday. She was crying in the bathroom. Even us lawyers, I mean, like the first day I started working at this firm, one of the girls is like, yeah, people are going to be rude to you all the time. Our receptionists, our paralegals were like verbally abused daily. You know, I think with any job, that's the case, but with anything online. So even if you're going to be online and you're going to do makeup tutorials, or I watch like beauty YouTube. I don't know what Lana watches on YouTube, but I watch a lot of beauty YouTube. That place is filled with drama. Girls will just post themselves doing a YouTube video and you'll look in the comments and everyone's picking them apart. I mean, that comes, I think, with a lot of different industries. Oh, you guys are they're going in on the comments. I should look at these more. So yeah, if you just want to throw up some, nothing is immoral to an aliens because there is no absolute truth. You can't have morality without an absolute truth. I love this because this is the biggest gripe for me about my atheism. I was like, well, where?
To read Hazard Stint's reply to that.
Oh, okay. Wrong. Atheism is the investigation of verifiable truth, fact. Well, yes. So I'm gonna quote. I think it was Richard Dawkins that got this question, and I loved his answer. He said something along the lines of, "Well, where do we want to get this objective truth from? The Bible, the Old Testament, stoning people for adultery." So he was like, I would rather I don't want an objective morality. He said, I want a morality that is reasoned, debated, critiqued, thought about. And he said, kind of, I want a morality that's created by intelligent design. He was kind of like, you know, and I agree with that. I don't want an objective morality, especially if it's from an ancient book that I would argue doesn't even align with our moralities today. I was also looking at a conversation between him and Neil, what's his name? Neil something Tyson. He's another scientist. And he was saying, like, even like he watched, I forgot what movie it is, but it's a movie about like Moses or something with the Old Testament. And Hollywood depicted it in a way that made God seem nicer than what was actually in the Bible. That he didn't like slaughter everybody. And so he was saying that Hollywood had to cleanse the Bible to even make a movie. So is that really where we want to get our objective morality? If you're arguing for objective morality, you're going to have to tell me where you think we should get it from. You're going to have to point me to the doctrine that you believe is the perfect morality for all of us.
So should we keep going into comments, or did we want to?
I'm from the restaurant industry, and I can tell you it's because servers and staff aren't. Yes. I think, I mean, we worship, I think in this country, we worship certain professions and then we disrespect others. Like if you're even, I mean, I think this is changing, but half the country, I think, just worships officers and military members, but they disrespect service. I think that comes along with, oh, you're serving food. Anybody can do that. You're taking off your clothes. Anybody can do that.
Yeah. Plus you're in a position where you're like catering to people. And so they feel like they're above you, especially people who aren't like, haven't experienced that for themselves. Like these people who do come from privileged families, and they never had to work in a restaurant. You know, I've worked in a restaurant. I mean, maybe I didn't have to. I'm probably a little bit privileged, you know, but not as much as some people. And I've been on both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. So. I'm literally proud of myself from coming from a place of privilege and going to law school and then forcing myself not only to get into an industry where people think people without privilege come from, but to also use my voice to talk about it, which is why I told you guys last time, the comments I get from this podcast, people telling me that I changed their perspective and stuff, means more to me than money. It means more to me than almost anything. So I did also want to touch on what this stigma does to sex workers and how it actually translates to our laws and the way sex workers are treated. So a lot of times policy reflects people's view on something. So this is the case with marijuana. This is the case with gay marriage. We're not there yet with sex work, but when sex work is illegal, I mean, I think there's a bunch of work on this. I think New Zealand is a place people look at where sex work is legal, and it has decreased the amount of violent crimes. Sex workers can't report. You know, if they're doing something, I see this all the time when I listen to interviews on prostitutes, especially that work the streets. They get raped, robbed, killed, and because what they're doing is illegal, they don't get resources for that. Nobody helps them. They can't go to the police. They can't file a report. And this is what this idea of sex workers, and then that's also, you know, translates into our laws and making it illegal. That's what that does. And for all these people that are like, oh, government shouldn't be involved in I can't think of anything the government what is a bigger overreach of government than somebody telling you that you can't use your body with two consenting adults. You can't sell your own body. I can't think of anything more draconian, authoritative, paternalistic than the government saying, your body, you can't do what you want with it. You can sleep with whoever you want, but you can't make money off of it. Sorry, that's illegal. That is a crime. It's absurd to me.
Oh yeah, like definitely. Like I feel like no matter how much money I make or whatever, I'm still gonna make my kid get a job when she's 15. In fact, I was having a conversation with her yesterday. She's 4, and she was having all these little attitudes with me. And she's like, well, I'm a teenager. And I'm like, well, then you have to start working if you're a teenager. And she's we're at the mall. She's like, well, I'm just going to work here and I get to play on the playground over there. I'm like, no, see these people working in the food court. And I'm like, you're going to have to do what they're doing. And they work hard and they have to stand all day long. Yeah. And they don't get to play.
Yeah.
So,
and I think a lot of women
have to go to work.
I can't think, it makes me sad to think of how many women are working jobs they hate and wouldn't ever think of going into doing what we're doing because they care what other people think about them, or because people will shame them, or because their family will shame. Like, that to me is sad. I want people to have the choice. This is going to make some people uncomfortable in general. I'm not saying every woman should be comfortable taking her clothes off on the internet, but if you are truly comfortable doing it, you shouldn't not do it because of other people. That's
But
my
I
own.
think another reason that, all right, I don't know if you thought about this or if you have, I don't know, just another reason I think people don't want to discuss this, that they do this, is because, okay, for example, like let's say, you know, your best friend or one of your good friends, you're open about it, right? And
Mhm.
now her like husband or her boyfriend knows that that's what you do. She's afraid that you're gonna go, that her man's gonna go look you up on the internet and find you.
Well, that's what I was saying about the threat to relationships in the family universe.
Yes, so
It's
that's
the
why I
same
feel
thing. Yeah.
like being open is to a lot of people is like is a not dangerous, but it's like
It makes people uncomfortable. Like if I walk into a room and some girl is there with her boyfriend, and I'm like, I'm an OnlyFans star. That guy is probably thinking like, oh, and that will make that woman uncomfortable. I think this is why we talk about why women are usually even worse on this topic than men. We talked a little about this last week too. I think it's a threat. It's like no. We need to all protect the sanctity of a monogamous relationship. We have to all protect, like some people don't even want their partner watching porn at all. Like there is different, and I'm not saying that's bad. You can do what's right for you, but you can't ban something or hate something or especially when it's costing these people their lives when they can't report. I love the saying that sex workers use, rights not rescue. A lot of us don't want to be rescued. We just want rights.
right. Right. We want rights.
People want rights, and more so for people that what we're doing is not illegal, but there are, I mean, I think in Vegas, right, in Vegas you can be, there's like brothels, right? I don't know. The
That
internet
sounds
is a very safer place to work, and it caters to all kinks. True. There's all types of kinks on the internet.
And just like, okay, the other thing about being open, when you were mentioning earlier about like being gay or being, into this kink or that kink, there's, I mean, I feel like I would much rather live in a world where people feel they can be honest, because just because you're not seeing this stuff in your community, if there's people that, it's just because people are hiding. And I know that you've seen this too, but I don't know how many times you've gotten messages like on, Reddit and places like that where guys are like, oh, like, I'm really into this, but I can't tell my wife. Some of them are into a lot of different things that, they would be super embarrassed to tell their wife, or they're like bisexual, or they're like, they like to dress like a woman or whatever their thing is. And they're so scared to tell their partner.
I
And
got
then
a message.
they feel open to tell us. But the thing is, what sucks is that if I was that partner, I would be super like heartbroken to find something out like that later on. Um, and I think we should live in a society where people can be open about that. And I want to know this thing about you and be able to make that decision of being with you or not based on this truth.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's the same sentiment as when someone, like, it's very common. Someone gets, your partner cheats on you with another woman. How many of us hate the woman instead of, or you hate both? You hate the woman though too. Same thing with what we do. Women are mad that men are looking at us, so they hate us.
Right.
That's definitely.
But it's when it's obsessive. So two little examples. One, I actually dated somebody who had a porn addiction.
Oh,
And I think it was definitely a porn addiction because like if you spent yourself so much so, and I mean this was like the routine day and night, morning, wake up, do this at night. Okay. It's like a being single sort of mentality. But if your sex life is lacking because you're spending it all online, then that is an addiction. That's like that dopamine rush in your brain that's being addicted to this thing on the screen. You know, you can do the same thing in real life, but when a person gets into that addiction with the screen, it's not just a sex addiction. It's actually also like immediate gratification and
yeah.
the screen addiction thing.
Yeah, I think that can be said about social. Like, I mean, I want to do an episode. I think it would be irresponsible of us to not do an episode about negative effects of pornography, because there's a way to consume things in a healthy way and there's a way to where it becomes unhealthy. But I think having it be so taboo, having repressing people so much creates more of that addiction. It creates more of that shame around it, where people, they feel like oh my God, I really want to do this, but I shouldn't do it. I really want to do this, but I shouldn't do it. Then you do it, then you hate yourself. It's like, and I see this a lot in the Middle East. I have a lot of Middle Eastern fans who are into really specific, very taboo kinks, because I think they can't express their sexuality in a healthy way. And I think it causes, that's my theory on even like priests. Like, I don't think it's normal to ever put people in a position where you're like, no sex for you. You're sworn to celibacy. Or putting people in an environment like prisons or whatever, and then you see all this sexual behavior come about that maybe wouldn't come about outside, because you've repressed people. They're not even seeing the opposite gender. Some of them are sentenced to life and they never see the opposite gender like again, or you're in the Middle East where everybody's covered and taboo, and then people resort to the internet in an unhealthy way as opposed to in a healthy way. I think there's also this thing of like, people think we don't respect ourselves because we're allowing people to use us. That's what people think. You're allowing people to use your body. To me, that's like we said last week, or Monday or Wednesday, 2 days ago. Everything is almost transactional. When I go to a restaurant to eat food, I am using the restaurant to fulfill my desire for food. I don't know.
Sorry.
Are you reading comments?
Yeah, sorry. Just to like make that clear about the ex I have that's addicted, that was addicted is whatever to porn. He was never trying to hide anything. That was totally like, he was very open about everything. I mean, he would like show me stuff that he liked. So it wasn't even like
secret.
But I know that's a thing too. But yeah, there was just a comment about that. But
I like the one someone put up. The risk online is porn is easily accessible to young people. So
that's what we were talking about before. Is okay.
Lana, you can go first on this one. I feel like I talk a lot.
Well, and I have really strong feelings about this thing.
She is a mother.
I don't think people under 18 should be on social media at all. At all. I mean,
do you think that should be a rule, or do you think that's
yeah, I think that should be like a countrywide. I mean, what good comes out of it?
You think that this should be like a law?
I think it should be a law.
Wow.
Okay. I think it sucks. Like, I mean, like my niece and my nephew, they're kids. They don't do anything. They literally sit in their rooms all day on video games and on whatever it is. And that's like not even with social media much. Like one's on a video game, one's like playing some game with her friends or text, like, you know what I mean? Imagine if she was also on Instagram, also on TikTok. Also, I know they do YouTube.
Yeah. Do you think though that should be the parent? Like, you think that the risk is so damaging, like it's so damaging to children that the government should get involved in people's homes and say, it's now a crime to have your children?
I do, because kids that's where all the bullying is coming from. All these challenges that people are like killing themselves and hurting themselves, like all these crazy things. I don't see why someone who's a teenager, when you're a teenager, you have a social life because you have school. You're involved. You should be involved in your world of friends in school, right? You have like what happened to being a kid and enjoying nature and stuff. But then you already have video games. You already have TV. You already have all these other things like YouTube. Okay, that I don't consider
YouTube slippery slope though, because someone could come say, "Oh, look at the damaging effects of giving kids junk food. Look at the damaging effects of giving kids TV time. Should there be a law that limits how much I mean, this is my lawyer brain kind of being like, oh."
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, if you want to give your kid obesity, give them junk food all the time. I mean, you know what I mean? Yeah. But the other thing about this is that, like, adults can't even be adults. like for us, like the platforms we use,
That's
we
the
have to worry about
problem.
kids being on there and seeing this stuff. And it's not just our stuff. It's all like the curse words and all
Kids
like
are being exposed to this stuff all the time. That is
the
very
bullying, the online, all the bullying. Like, why do kids need to be on this?
I agree kids shouldn't be on this, but I don't agree with the government coming in and for like I don't even think it would work. I don't think we're ever like it's kind of like how would it work? Are we gonna just not give kids cell phones? Are we not gonna give kids any meat? Like that's just not
No,
going
I
to
mean, I think the U.S. should just make all social media like okay. Instagram has straight porn on it. We already know that. TikTok, take out the OF people like us, and it's still just mostly raunchy shit, like people cursing, people doing dumb. I mean, it's just like
well, a website saying they're 18 and over. Do you think that would actually prevent kids from using it?
no, not at all. But I think it puts more responsibility on the parents. Instead of parents trusting this, they're like, "Oh, this app is okay for my kids. It's 15 and up. They're 15." But then you find out, oh, there's this fucking crazy challenge, and these 15-year-olds are killing themselves because of it. So then now, instead of the liability being on the platform, it's on the parent.
I agree. The liability is 100% on the parent. And then people blame, I'm like, well, this app, like it's 15 and plus. I don't think I think a 15-year-old has seen worse than my cleavage. And I'm like, and you can set parental controls, etc. And they're like, well, kids get around parental controls. And I'm like, so Netflix has rated R movies, right? You could put parental controls on. But if the kid changes the controls and watches a rated R movie, should we not have rated R movies on Netflix anymore?
Kids can figure out anything. They're
Kids
freaking
can
more.
figure out anything. That's
Yeah,
why
they're more savvy, tech savvy than we are. Because they're growing up with computers in their face.
yeah.
We don't really exactly have that.
I
So,
think some parents use social media phones as an easy baby. Yeah, I agree.
I use it. If I'm in a restaurant, I give my daughter her iPad.
Yeah.
And I don't like the stuff she watches. It's on YouTube Kids. I don't like a lot of it. I think it's ridiculous, but it's not like
It's not like, gonna yeah.
It still like irritates me and it makes her have an attitude sometimes. And even that I'm like, it's okay, enjoy it now because I'm gonna distract you so much that you're gonna forget about your iPad pretty soon.
Yeah.
You're gonna go to the park.
Yeah. I would 100%. I would be so on top of what I don't have kids, but like that, I would want to know everything they're watching, especially when they're young. There is a difference when your child's 5 versus 15. So when people say kids are on this app, I'm always like, do you mean a 17-year-old or do you mean a 5-year-old? Because those are very different things to me. 17-year-olds, I promise you, 17-year-old males have been on Pornhub. TikTok is not.
Yeah. I think it's like we were in elementary school when me and like our neighborhood kids, right? We were like discovering like a parent, not my parents, one of their parents, like, Playboy magazines and stuff,
I know. I know like guys when I was a kid were like just on Google, like big butt, boob, babe, enter, and they would see like porn images.
I know it's so easy to go around it. And like, it will never be something that is, not like found, like it's never something you can like totally like hide from kids, all of this stuff.
Do you think education, do you think like, for instance, I agree that porn can create unhealthy assumptions about surrounding sex for sure. Do you think education, because unless you're going to argue to wipe out porn, do you think education can combat some of those those negative effects? Like, do you think that, because that's the problem, right? Kids, they're not developed. They're not able to process information the way we are. They're not able to look at this and be like, this isn't real. They think it's real. And can we change that?
I mean, I think it depends on the age. Like what age were they showing you like sex ed?
I mean, I remember I grew up in the Pacific Northwest where we are very liberal. So we got sex ed in like 4th grade, but it was just like periods, penises, stuff like that.
Yeah, I had that too in the Midwest where I grew up.
Yeah. Middle school and high school is where we got more like STDs, pregnancy, birth control type of stuff. We did do a little bit on porn and the negative effects on porn, but I think we definitely need to differentiate between how porn affect, like the negative effects of porn on children
Oh my goodness.
Because
I feel
people
like
make the argument we can't get rid of it. If we can't get rid of it, what do we do about it?
I feel like they shouldn't talk about porn in school ever, because you're just like, kids are going to discover
really?
it. Yeah, like, why are you talking about porn? If you say, oh, porn is bad to a kid, they're going to be like, oh, I'm going to go check that out. Like,
so conservatives make this argument about sex ed in general, though. They're like, if you teach kids about condoms and safe sex, you're just encouraging them to have sex. You should teach them abstinence, or you should not talk about it. Do you agree?
No, once kids get into middle school, they're already thinking about sex.
But they shouldn't bring up porn in middle school. They should just bring up safe sex.
I mean, it's like why bring up porn? Those
Well,
kids
no,
are
obviously you shouldn't be bringing up porn in elementary school.
No.
That's what I was saying.
Like, why are you talking about porn? It's like, what's the point? You can't say do it. You can't say don't do it. It's something that's there. They're going to discover it.
I saw the puberty video at the end of 5th grade. So did I. Do you guys remember the videos they would show? Like, I feel like they filmed a bunch of videos in like the 90s, and I don't know what they're showing them now, but we were still getting like the guy with the awkward haircut, or like he would be with his girlfriend and he would like pressure her. He's like, hey, we should have sex. And she would be like, I'm not comfortable, right? It's just so corny. And it's like, what should Vanessa do? Suggest an alternative activity. Blah, blah. It was like, I'm like, what? Life doesn't even go like this.
Oh my goodness.
Like someone's like, hey, do you want to have sex? No, let's go bowling instead. Like it just.
What do you think like the typical age is that girls are like losing their virginity nowadays?
Oh, I thank you for reminding me. I wanted to talk about. So a lot of people that think that sex work is immoral because people are getting paid for it, and that it is supposed to be an intimate sexual act. Gen Z especially, but I would say the millennials too. This hookup culture. Casual sex is becoming normalized. Do you guys think that's good? Do you think it's bad? Do you think that can play into what people think about sex work? Because if sex is supposed to be just this casual bodily function, then there should be no issues with it, with people having multiple partners, hooking up with multiple people. What do we think about that? Kids seem to be having sex earlier and earlier, same with drugs and alcohol. I'd be curious about the data on that. I think you might be right, but I'd want to know exactly how, if kids are like, if it's increased exponentially, or what is exactly happening.
I think that has been a change that we've seen in the past like decade, not just like recently.
But every generation thought like our parents thought we were just going wild with sex. They were like, these kids are just, oh my goodness. And then now we look at our kids, or I don't have kids, but we're like, oh my God, everybody's just having sex with everybody, and everybody's all these genders, and every generation thinks that the next generation has like broken the mold of society.
You know what? It's just like, you don't know what's going on right now. Is it because people are being more open, or is it a trend, or people like trying to fit in this new like cool hip way? Because now kids they're gay and bisexual and they're a different gender because it seems like that's trending. I think for some people that's like, it's like cool. And then for some people this is actually like their authentic self, and this is, they're just feeling free about it. So
yeah, I think that can definitely be the case. I think we want to look at, like, when I think of it, okay, all these kids are having sex younger and younger. What's causing this? What does this mean? What does that actually do to the psyche? Like, does having sex young, which I think I would want to do research on this, but from what I know, that can be negative for especially young girls.
I don't know. I know. Okay. I know girls who've lost their virginity at 16 and have had more unhealthy relationships and more partners. Then I know someone else who had a relationship at 12 years old and lost her virginity at like 12, 13 years old with that partner, and only had like, in the course of like 20 years after that, only had like 2 other partners. So I mean, it's kind of like, the age thing, I think it's a person. Like, for someone to be able to like get away with doing that when they're 12, that's like the parents' fault. Like, you're not watching your kids, you're not paying attention where your kids are at, you're letting them have a sleepover.
Yeah. I don't know if this is a Persian thing, but I think all my Persian people can relate. There were no sleep. I was not allowed to go to nobody's house and spend the night when I was growing up. Personal anecdote, I guess, not an anecdote, but like me personally, I am very comfortable taking my clothes off on the internet. Does not bother me, does not embarrass me, does not make me uncomfortable. Casual sex makes me uncomfortable, so I don't do it. I listen to my body. When I do it, I don't feel good the next day, so I don't do it. But I don't think that means that it's wrong or that, but it could have some negative psychological effects, especially the younger you are, or maybe some women are able all the time and they don't have an issue with it. How do you think, so we can agree that there should be a different standard for a consenting adult and what content they're allowed to consume. I would argue they're allowed to do anything that doesn't hurt anybody else if you're a consenting adult. But then we're living in this world with minors. How do we balance this? Like, how do we keep minors from this while still as adults being able to be very open about it? Because I think that's something I didn't even consider. A lot of maybe the negative sentiment we have around sex or drugs or a lot of things is because if we're open about this stuff, that's just going to create more accessibility for children, and that's going to harm children. So what is the balance? What is the balance for adults to be able to have a rated R movie on Netflix, knowing that maybe kids can access it, being able to have pornography sites for adults, knowing kids can access it, being able to shake ass on TikTok, knowing kids can access it? Where is the line? Where do we can't get rid of all of it. We also don't want to create free reign for anybody to be able to log on and see it, but that's kind of the position we're in anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like when it comes to like movies, things that are going to like pop on TV, a TV that you share with your children, that you're, these are just bound to happen. These are going to happen. I found porn in 6th grade. I found my dad's and my brother's. Exactly. Like, things like that. It's just natural. You're going to find it. But that's where like we should have the controls set up so that it's just like reduced. Like I said, with social media. Like, get your kids.
It is harder now. Remember when we grew up on cable?
I don't want to see no like 12-year-old commenting on my fucking post. I don't. A post of my butt. You know what I mean?
But
like, why? Why is there a 12-year-old like looking on the internet for girls all the time? I mean, you're gonna find them regardless, but why are they like here?
Do you think we can stop it? Do you think if TikTok gets stricter that it'll help? Do you think?
I feel like it should definitely be up to the parents. I feel like we also as creators, and this goes for all the creators online who are creating content that's for 18 and up, or even if it's not 18 and up, if you're a business and you use social media to promote your business, you're not promoting to 12-year-olds.
No.
13 and 14, because they can't buy shit. You know what I mean?
It's the same argument.
Social interaction is not going to be online. It's going to be in school. It's going to be in their activities.
But even entertainment, should we not have rap? People make this argument. This is a very big argument. I'm a big hip hop fan. Why are you writing music with so many curse words in it that are depicting women? Don't you know children are going to hear it? Don't you know that? You can't express your artistic whatever this way. This is bad artistic expression because of children. And I'm like, so nobody can make music for adults? We can't make movies for adults? We can't create content for adults because children will inevitably have access to it? I understand times have changed. I was just going to say, do you remember how we grew up on cable TV where we didn't hear any cuss words? Now HBO, anything I turn on, like, is not censored in that way.
Yeah, it should definitely be on the parents, and I don't think the artists should have to suppress what they're saying because people are letting their kids get onto social media and spend their time on social media. Meanwhile, these kids don't get any exercise. They sit at home all day. I see these kids. Some are in my family.
Okay, let's get off social media. What about music? Like, people say like women like Cardi B, Megan, people that are especially
music, you can have control over that as a parent. You can.
So would you not let your daughter? I mean, your daughter's 4, but let's say your daughter was 13, and she was a big Cardi B fan. How would you feel about that?
She's a Cardi B fan now.
I love that.
It's funny because like I like that stuff, and I'll put those music videos on, and like, you know, like I can't always hide it from her. She's like walks in the room and she hears the beat and people dancing. She just wants to dance.
Wop, wop, wop.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, it's hard to control this stuff. That's why I say like it's an effort. Like if you're not putting the effort into to control it, unless you're like Miss Goody Two Shoes. Like I do have a good friend who she's very Christian, and like
those kids end up fucked always.
Yeah, and even though she's not Miss Goody Two Shoes, she likes to act like she is to her kids. Her kids only hear worship songs in the car. And then they come to my house one day, and my daughter's very into dance. She loves to dance.
We all know what happened to the Catholic girls' school, the private girls who get sent to private Catholic schools. Woohoo! And
yeah, they came to my house and had Britney Spears on the TV dancing, and my daughter's dancing all around. She loves it. She's very artistic in her dancing. And then like
my parents were on in the 90s. Yeah, that's not the case anymore. And do we think that's bad? I also see a comment: if unwanted pregnancies and STDs weren't a problem, would sex still be taboo? Yes, I think so. Because that would mean that with the onset of birth control, sex would be less taboo. I don't think it's less taboo. I think more people engage in it because they're able to without worrying about getting pregnant. But I think that it's still taboo, and like it's not as taboo in Europe as it is here. There is something about it inherent in us. Like, do you guys want to be like, okay, so for instance, in law school, we learn about the obscenity doctrine and what free speech in relation to obscenity and pornography. And there is an exception for free speech when it comes to, you can't put a billboard up just driving of like porn. Like you can't just be driving on, you know, a highway and see somebody with like their legs spread and their pussy out. People have an issue with that. Could be because of the effect on kids, but I think even if it was just adults, I think there's people that just, there's something about it. It incites something about it. People see it either as like a special thing or they don't want to. I know some conservatives make the argument that it's such a great special thing and porn and this just cheapens it. There's that argument. I know I don't agree with that, but that's what they think. There is the argument that it creates unhealthy idea. Like, and I think that's true. How many of these young boys, I mean, we're older, but how many of these young boys in high school are looking at girls like us who were in our 20s? We're fully developed. I'm overly developed. Yeah. And oh, she's in her, yeah, you couldn't tell, but she is a little older. How many of these younger boys right now are looking at girls like us and expecting the 14 or 15-year-old in their school to look? When I was 14 and 15, I didn't look like this. I did actually have always like a large chest and stuff, but like we all go through our awkward stages in like middle school or high school, and men are just looking at porn stars or OnlyFans girls and like all these moguls. And I think they expect girls to perform like porn stars when, especially at that age, you're just awkward and figuring everything out.
Yeah. I don't think sex was great for anybody in their teens.
That's part of the part of growing up. And I think porn can definitely have some negative effects on it. But I know we got into children, but it does matter because I think that does tie into why people think what we're doing is immoral. But I don't think it's the whole story, because I guarantee you, even if we were on a platform that was only 18 and over, no kids were in it, people would still make the comments, you guys don't respect yourselves. You guys are getting paid for sex, which somehow makes it worse than just having sex. You guys are taking off your clothes for money. You guys are being used by men. This is not a real job. You guys shouldn't have any protections in place. Like, people still think that without children being in the equation.
I think that those people, I think a lot of people say these things because they believe that we make so much money, and I think there's jealousy and envy.
But not with athletes? Not with singers?
Not as much, no, because...
Yeah, that's what I mean. Why?
Yeah.
But why?
Who are the people that are saying this? Remember that woman I sent you? She made a TikTok post and tagged me and was like, Lana bad, this is why men don't respect women. And like literally that I went to search her name. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, I remember.
And she has a video, and I'm just like, my little TikToks, I'm just like, I'm wearing something and like sort of dance around. Hers was like this. She's like, hey. Her big booby. She was a bigger woman. And she's just like, and I'm like, lady, you're saying I don't respect myself. I'm not over here like swinging my boobs around like just overtly like doing things like that. And I'm like, listen, this is just way too hypocritical. Like, you don't need it. Like, don't make a post about me. Do that all you want.
Even her saying this is when men don't respect women. Let's unpack that. So there is this idea that men should respect me according to what I do with my own body. That's weird. I don't know how, like, that's how you choose to respect women or not respect women. You don't look at how they treat other people. You don't look at their values. You don't look at if they're true to themselves. You don't look at what determines whether or not you respect a woman is how covered she is. Well, most of us would not be respected by any men in the Middle East. Like, it's just the line is so arbitrary. And I would be curious. I don't think they would be watching us right now. But if you are somebody that you feel like you respect women less when they are using their sexuality to either get a profit, to get attention, to feel good about themselves, why do you respect people less because of how much skin they're showing and what context they're showing it in? Can we get some more questions thrown up or comments thrown up? We're going to be on here for another like 15 minutes, like so that'll be an hour and a half, and then we're going to get off. Do you see becoming a lawyer as a waste of your time, or are you happy with your educational journey? I do not see it as a waste of my time. I'm happy with my educational journey because my big thing I'm working on now is I want to see my identity with things that can't be taken from me. My looks can be taken from me. My house can be taken from me. My nice things can be taken from me. My education can never be taken from me. And I know how to write papers now. I know how to make arguments. I know how to think a lot better than I would have if I had never gone to law school. I have a skill. I have a degree that I can use to help people. I never know how me being a lawyer is going to help somebody. It already has helped people, but it's going to help so many more people down the line. It helps me. It helps me know how to think. I wouldn't be able to even probably engage in some of these conversations at the level in which I'm engaging in them if I wasn't a lawyer. So no, I don't see it as a waste of time for me, but I don't also think, like, my mom is one of those people that, like, anybody, like, someone will breathe and she's like, you should go to law school. You should go be a lawyer. Like, I'm like, Mom, that's not the right choice for everybody.
That's so cool. I love it.
All right. I agree. What do you think, Lana?
Oh, yes, definitely. I feel like the way people treat you is a direct reflection of the way they feel about themselves. 100%. When someone is, just you're out in public, someone's rude to you. It's not about you. It's really not personal. They don't know you. How could it be personal? Yeah.
I think on the internet too, because people aren't as scared of, there's anonymity.
We got these keyboard warriors back here.
You see people, like, to me, and we're going to do a whole episode on confidence because I love confidence and I love learning about it and like the science behind it and everything and the way the human brain works. When you take the time, all I see, since I've learned some of the stuff that I'm going to teach you guys, but I learned some things, and now all I see when I read comments like that is, this person hates themselves. That's all, because I just know the fact that you took the time to write that comment screams low confidence, and you have an issue with yourself. It has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Because I see content all the time that I don't like. I never think to write something to try to hurt that person.
Yeah.
I
always think that too. I'm like, and when you say you want to study a confident, I have a really good one of my best friend actually was having this conversation with another friend. So in our group of friends, we've all known each other for so long. There's one of our friends, and she's like my best friend, that everyone always like has a problem with her. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
And well, not everyone. Okay, there's a few. So the couple of the people who have a problem with her, they've had problems with each other too, and it all comes to this like there's like this competition, you know?
Yeah.
But my confident friend, she's not having the competition. I think what angers some of the other girls is that she's so confident and she's not like phased by
She
them at
doesn't care. She doesn't care that people are
all.
raising
And
trauma.
she's literally the person who says, "Hello, how are you? How's your day today?" to the janitor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. I
she's
100%.
very nice. She's very respectful of people. And she has like this really high confidence to the point where it irritates a lot of people, especially women. You know?
Yeah, I see that. Can we put the one about the health ramifications up again? Because I know she was talking when we yes, okay. The book Brave New World sort of poses the question of whether negative consequence of sex exists if you take away the physical health ramifications. I am just curious what you thought. Thanks for the answer. So here's my take on this. I think all of these things can so yeah, if we didn't have the negative physical, probably even psychological, emotional ramifications, especially when you're younger, especially I think more so for women. Women and men are different. There's definitely more variation within genders than between genders, but if we took all women and all men, there is some differences there. But I think there is still a sentiment that sex is in the Judeo-Christian faith that it is something special. It's a connection. It should be done with one person, and it's even for the purpose of procreation. Why do you think they use that all the time when it comes to gay? Their arguments against well, that's not natural. They can't procreate. Why, that's what people use. And I think with sex, I think that argument will always be there. Like, no, sex should not be casual. It should be some sacred thing because that's what our Bible says. And we're like, okay, well, because that's how we have this family structure that's going to be best for children and even have the ability to bring about children and procreate.
I mean, I do feel like I like to be with one partner, and like in my past relationship, well, not all of them, but like let's just say the meaningful one. That comment. We both felt that way. We didn't want, even the prospect of bringing anyone in for just sex or whatever was like, for him, he was like, definitely not, because he had lived with a couple who had an open relationship and he said it was a nightmare. And had experienced like threesome and like wasn't that excited by it. So I think that like a lot of people, we do feel like we just want to be with one person and it is special and we don't want to like be with other people for a time.
Exactly. I think that we human beings, we have a drive towards monogamy and we have a drive, and so they clash, and that's why we have all these issues. And I think if we better understood that, we could have better expectations, and maybe so many people wouldn't enter into these marriages expect their other, like if you expect your significant other to find no one else, you're just creating a lifetime of insecurity, like I think I have my views on this, so we'll definitely talk about it. But that comment that was just up, does the societal stigma cause the psychological ramifications? I don't think I articulated this well in the beginning, but this is what I'm saying almost. Sex work is seen as inherently bad. It is seen as a fatherless activity. It is seen as a last resort. It is seen as people who go through abuse are the only type of people. And this is the same argument they used to make about gay people. Oh, they must have been molested as a child. All of this. And I think a lot of times, you guys think about how strong societal pressure is, and societal norms and your environment shapes your beliefs. So once you believe that and you don't question that, then it does make sense that girls don't go into that. But then if they are going through all of these issues, then they're like, okay. And then that makes them feel worse. I think it causes them to have, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Oh, my dad wasn't around, and oh, now I'm on OnlyFans. Oh, I guess I don't know what it's like to be loved. I guess I don't, that's what everybody's telling me. I don't respect myself. I don't deserve respect. Men won't respect me. If you keep drilling that into people's heads, they're going to believe it. And I think that can have really negative, very negative psychological ramifications. So I think the societal stigmas do cause it, but that does not mean that there is no link about what is psychologically healthy between, like, very well could be the case that women who have X amount of partners before the age of X are more likely to have negative, but I do think how much of it is because of societal stigma and how much of it is actually because there is something, I don't believe that, like, for a lot of history, including today, people saw women's bodies and women's sexuality as something to be like, you're giving your body to someone else, like your virginity, you're giving your virginity, you're the prize, men are going to come.
Because it goes back to this thing that your virginity is like
sacred.
Yeah, the whole religious.
Oh, I don't know about you, but my mom was like, oh, you can't. I was like, when I first got my period and I wanted to use tampons, she's like, no, virgins, only married women use tampons. You need to use a pad. I'm like, I was like, what? She's like, it's only for married women. It's only for married women. And so I was like, I hated pads, but then I got older. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna use a tampon. I don't care if I, whatever, my cherry or
you popped your own cherry.
It is crazy, but because people see women aren't even, for most of history, people didn't think we had sexual desires or sexual anything. Like, it still makes people uncomfortable that women consume porn. Women have kinks. Women like sex too. We're not just giving it to men and it's just something for men to come conquer.
Do you believe polygamy works intrinsically? My mom's been a couples therapist for decades and has never seen it work.
Ooh, interesting question. I think it can, but I think that you would have to really work through dismantling a lot of natural human emotions. Because that's the thing. Like, a lot of us, we're jealous, we're territorial, and that means that if we can't control that, which most people can't, it would take a lot of work to be able to, it's going to cause problems.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've known people in these relationships, and it only works when they both really genuinely believe in open relationships. When it's one person and the other person is kind of like, okay, yeah, sure, they go along with it, but it actually it's contradicting like how they really truly feel, then it doesn't work. And I feel like probably like 90% of the time, it's just like either the woman or the man, the other person who's going along with it, and then it doesn't work out because both don't really feel that way. I feel like it's pretty unique to feel that way.
I was in a poly relationship because there were trust issues. Yes. So I think the cornerstone of every relationship is trust, and trust is nothing but a congruency between your words and your actions over a period of time that creates consistency. That's trust. Relationships won't work without that. The rest of your relationship, if you guys are openly communicating, if you feel like you're able to have that trust, I think you can have a very healthy relationship no matter what your relationship looks like. But without that, I don't think any relationship will work. And I think a lot of times in poly relationships, and I think there's also, like, especially nowadays, it's almost like like people are like, yeah, I'm in an open relationship, and they don't do the work to check themselves, and they don't know how to handle their jealousy, and they want to be okay with it, but they're not okay with it. And they're kind of not being genuine to themselves because they're trying so hard either to please someone who wants it, or to feel like, and I feel like this is me, because I don't think there's anything immoral about being in an open relationship, but I think I wouldn't be happy in one at this time. So for me to be like, oh no, it's really cool and human beings aren't meant to be monogamous, so therefore I'm going to be in a polyamorous relationship and I'm going to be in an open relationship and it's all going to be fine. No, it's not all going to be fine. You have to know yourself enough. You have to respect yourself enough to know what you are able to bring and if you are able to handle this type of relationship.
Right, exactly. And I just want to respond to radioactive. My Farsi, not Persian, but that's what yes, Farsi. Yeah. You got it. What is not great. I mean, it's, my mom's not Persian, just my dad, and my grandparents don't speak English. So it's like, I know what I need to know, but Yeah, Jazmen is going to be teaching me Farsi.
We will have an episode on that. But it's been an hour and a half. I don't want to make it.
Wait. Hole is towel.
Hole. I always have a towel on my bed. Hole. We got it. Yeah, so I know we like talking about really deep shit, but we also want to on Monday, I think me and my friend are gonna go to this like pool thing, and I'm just gonna stream myself in a floaty on the lazy river. Like, don't think that this is all gonna be so deep. Some of it's gonna be the hoochie mama content.
Yeah, because I mean, we have this podcast that it's gonna be Mondays and Fridays for like an hour to 2 hours, but the rest of the time we're being naughty. So, check our socials and all that. I'm going on TikTok live soon. I'm gonna try on dresses. It's been a while. I'm not even sure which account I can go on.
Yes, guys, please, when we make new TikToks every day, go follow and like all of them.
Every day.
Oh no, it's literally every day. I got to 1,000 on one yesterday, and I went, and first they took away my live access and they banned me. So I'm gonna try to be a little better on there, but if I can go live today, I'm gonna go live today too. But anyways, yeah, you guys know you can email us. We love your feedback. Anything you guys have to say. Will you do a podcast on helping oneself to find a path in life? Yes, this is the stuff I love. I don't know if Lana loves this as much as I do. I'm gonna start a YouTube channel soon. I'm gonna actually talk to them.
Do that specifically because that kind of goes into my philosophy on work as well.
So we can do that together, but I am gonna do my own.
Yeah, she does like a lot of
finding yourself, confidence, self-trust, belief, religion, all of that stuff I love. I'm gonna do a YouTube channel on it. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
What's the story behind the tattoo? Jazz, would you say it's more satisfying or exciting to pick your nose? Did I pick my nose? I don't know. I don't know if that's just a random question or I picked behind
this
tattoo. My nails are so long, it might look like I'm picking my nose if my hand's like even here, but
I haven't noticed. I will tell you what's up, girl. I don't know if it's this tattoo. It's not done. The meaning behind it is something I probably won't talk about, but
we could start comments. The moderator starts some comments. That's a really good feature that I didn't know about.
Oh, yes.
All right.
So I think we are going to go for now. Until next time.
So Monday,
like 1-2 p.m.
Your time.
And we'll announce it on Twitch too.
Mm-hmm. We'll announce it on Twitch. Make sure you're following our Instas, any socials that you find. If you follow me on Reddit and you saw it there, people care when you guys comment that it's interesting because then more people watch. So I know a couple people did that and I appreciate that. So thank you. And have a wonderful day, everyone. Moderator, take us out.
See you guys Monday.